How many times have you guys had to Control Alt Delete start this new process again in the pursuit of perfection? How many times have you done it, right? With
On
Matt,
Replit. Not many,
just on
mate, to
everything
be
from
fair.
Monday.com, on Replit, on all these AIs and all these data.
Monday.com a lot. Monday.com a lot.
Exactly, because the pursuit of perfection is not there, and there's always a way you can improve it. And when you get to a point where you get frustrated and you've built all these meow around doing bits and bobs, you just want to start again, and that's what Salesforce stops you doing. Yes, you have to build it in, build it out, take data in, take data out, but the framework doesn't change. So your lessons learned, you just change the framework in it. And I honestly haven't touched it for about 7 years now. It just allows your brain to move on with something else.
But I think it depends on what you're doing though, right? Because like I'm I'm trying to scale rapidly, and every time I scale, it creates weaknesses, and that's the limitation of Monday is like it just doesn't give me what I need. Like, and I know Monday inside out, and it doesn't give me what I need. So for me to get what I need to extrapolate it in a different way.
It gives you what you need. If you don't change the end goal, what happens is you're trying to scale so quick, your end goal is changing all the time because you go, oh, we can scale this, we can bolt this on, and that whole chain that that you just want like a base process to go from the sales process from start to finish, and then you can just bolt on different lines. I just think that that's so addictive what you guys are saying there, and yes,
Yeah.
it does everything and anything, and that is the drug. Is you can try it, you can build it, you nail one thing, and then you change direction, then you have to rebuild the whole thing again, and it's just there's endless
Yeah.
hours of energy that goes
Well,
into that.
you get
They're
to
just
a
making
point
that.
though, right? Like our Monday.com system is it won't need rebuilding ever again. But we'll keep adapting it and keep building on top of it. But the benefit is like there's just so many if I can keep reducing OpEx and keep increasing revenue per staff member, keep increasing client service ability, and keep siloing data into something more proprietary than being beholden to a big utility like Monday, then I'm securitizing the business, improving the business. Like it's always going to be improving, right? Or eliminating an issue. Or reducing an issue. As long as I'm constantly doing that, then it's very much time well spent in a scaling mode. I agree. If you're like stabilizing and want to keep consistent with something, then don't rebuild systems all the time because there's probably more low hanging fruit just like working on training staff and doing other things is probably more effective to the bottom line. But I think when you're scaling, like the system we had for buy to lets when we're doing say 5 at a time was fine with the analog way we're doing it. We're doing 50 at a time. It just doesn't work. There needs to be these feedback loops and efficiencies that you can only really create if you build a system or use something off the shelf. But the off the shelves are generalized because they need to sell product at mass, and it never works because every model is different, every business practice is slightly different. So why not build something that perfectly fits? It's like a nice glove that fits everything that you do, and then if you want to change it, you can change it now, like really
So
cheap as
the
well.
next bit then, if you keep changing the system, how do you deal with change management within your staff? Every time you call another meeting, go, guys, Monday morning, round the table in your lovely office on the first floor, and you get 30 bodies there and go, right, we're now doing this. How do you deal with the emotion? People going, fucking hell, not again. We're changing again. We were doing this last week, and now we're doing this week. And that's for you as well, Jack. How do you deal with that?
Bring them along on the journey. I think that when you're building something, you have to understand like there's nothing worse than building something amazing that someone can't use or doesn't want to use. We don't run a construction company, and I'd imagine that's probably the hardest, right? So, oh, by the way, guys, at this point in the job, you put down all your tools, you get out the app, and you log everything, and it's really, really good. You log everything, how many nails you've used, and for they just want to get on and get cracking. So I think you do have to understand the audience is point number one. Like some things that just can't get adopted by some people. And then second point to that is if you are going to be a business that is so technically driven, maybe that person's not right for you anymore if they're not
Mhm.
willing to adopt and come along the journey. So it's twofold there. Is that audience essential and part of your growth or part of your maintenance of growth or whatever it may be? Or is that person just not fit for it anymore? And equally, as a managing person of integrating a new process, like keep it simple to some degree because you want something used rather than something that's really clever but doesn't get used and integrated. There's nothing worse than creating a process and then no one does it.
But Jack, that's such an important point you've made, like, and which would be my immediate response to Stu is the same way. If you're going to, in the last 10 years or 20 years, if you're going to employ a staff member and they're not Microsoft Suite illiterate, it's going to be a rough ride, right? In this new world, every staff member needs to be a prompt engineer. Like, and if they're not, they're just going to be nowhere near as good as you bringing in a kid off the street who may not necessarily know the workflows, but someone who can use, AI to just figure out the workflows and then be able to be way more efficient. So prompt
A prompt
engineering.
engineer. You want to build a team of robots, because as soon as you systemize everything to the nth degree, you take all the initiative and fun out of it as well. Like, a system should be there as a guide, but the person doing the role needs a bit of fluid, a bit of momentum, a bit of initiative to put their
All right,
spin on their job
hold
role.
that,
Because
hold that thought. Hold
go
that
on.
thought, because let's go on to OpenClaw and we'll talk about it in the context of this new AI that's come about. Because I think that's where I think you might shift perspective on it a little bit. Just quickly though, for our viewers' sake, visually, if you want to know what Replit looks like, this is something I've been building recently, which is essentially a financial forecasting tool. You've got in the left panel, you've got your chat area, which is kind of like Chat GPT. You can put in stuff, ask it to change things, and in the right side, you've got your view panel where it's showing you what's being built. You can then test it and then run tests through the model. And I've built a forecasting tool here with input parameters and output summaries to show the business and revenue models, payment terms, all these kind of things. And it's good if you're doing something financial to make it output Excel sheets, so that you can proof check its logic and its work. So I make sure I've got that on every page. But yeah, the function's very simple. Like, anyone who thinks this stuff's complicated to use, it absolutely isn't. It's like moron proof, really easy. Okay, circling back to what Stu said.
Can I just tell you a quick joke before we move on to that? From I mentioned about people using AI. My carpet fitter sent me some samples. He sent me a photo of a sample for a project, and we had to pick whether we wanted light wood, medium wood, or dark wood. And I got a photo of the living room, put it into AI, like ChatGPT, and I said, "Can you floor this room in these 3 different colors?" And it did. It spat it back, and I sent it back to him, and I said, "We want to go for the lighter wood." And then when I saw him, he was just like, I don't know how you use this EI stuff. I was like, EI? I was like, what? It's just to show how like bad some people are. But yeah, it's hilarious. Anyway, crack on with OpenClaw.